Alright, following on from part 1 in the How to Fix Your Back video series, this is the one where we give you 5 exercises that are going to help strengthen your back and help get your lower back on track, if you can excuse the pun. First exercise is a back extension. Now, these ones, they're called a bird dog some places, but I call them a back extension. Basically, you're on all fours, kneeling on the ground. What you're going to do, raise your left arm and your right leg and just going in and out like that while you're on all fours. Now, the key for this, make sure your back doesn't dip down. That's going to dip down if you put your leg too high. Now, if you put your leg too high, that's going to tip you off balance as well. So key point there, make sure you're just gliding your leg straight out so it doesn't go higher than the level of your lower back. Same deal with your arm. And I like to put thumbs up. As you're going out, thumbs up, it's going to make your lower back work a little bit harder. Now, what you can also do to make things a little bit harder there, it's a lower intensity exercise. You can hold that position. Now, you can also do it where you're going to hold that position, hold that leg, but you're going to hook your toe under, like you're stretching your calf. So your toe's actually going to be on the ground, curling your toe under while you're doing that hold. It's going to put, and if you're focusing on lengthening your body, you're really going to feel that lower back, get that extra little bit of stretch. Now, a couple of variations if you want to make that more of a resistance workout as well. You put a mini band around your thighs, just above your knees. That's going to mean your hamstrings and your glutes are going to work a little bit harder as well, which is also something you want to strengthen to help with your lower back. The stronger your hammies are, the stronger your glutes are, the stronger your lower back will be, because it's all connected. Now, the thing that I also find, most people are quad dominant. Now, the quads are those big muscles at the front of your thighs that's focusing on squats and those type of things. We need to focus on the muscles that work the back half of your body. Some of the other ones that I'll run through later are going to help you there too. But back to the back extension, we can also make it harder for your upper body by using a resistance tube. Now, what you do for that, or a cable if you're working out in a gym, what you're going to do with that, you're going to get one of those resistance tubes, you'll loop it through a post or a pole or something down low, close to the ground, and you're going to be facing away from the pole, and you're going to be lengthening that same movement, but you're getting the extra workout on your upper body. That's exercise number 1 covered. Exercise number 2, weighted bow or a deadlift. Now, weighted bow is basically a bodyweight version of a deadlift. I'll give you a quick demo. I'll stand up. I'll stand side on for effect. What you're going to do, you won't see, if I move this down, you'll see I make my knees a little bit softer, okay? And that is going to make it more effective and put the focus on your hamstrings and your butt. So what you're going to do, knees are soft, so you see me drop down a little bit there. Bend forward and push the butt out. Look straight ahead for these. Just like that. Now, I call these a weighted bow. What you'll find that nice effective exercise, working the back of the legs, working the butt. If you're loaded up, the difference between a weighted bow and a deadlift, the weighted bow is body weight exercise. If you add a weight, do that same weighted bow motion with a weight hanging down in front of you, in front of the body, that's a deadlift. You can also do it with a resistance tube as well. If you have a mini band handy, you can wrap that just above your knees, the same sort of spot you do for the back extension. That's going to make your inner thighs and everything work a little bit harder, because the further you stand your legs apart, the more you've got to work for that extra resistance for the mini bands. Exercise number 3, we're going to do some hip extensions. Now, these are the ones where you're flat on your back. You're going to bend your knees like that. So if that's my lower leg, there's my knees, there's my upper legs, and that's my back. That's the position that you're going to do. And you're going to lift your hips up and down in the air. The feet stay on the ground. You lift your hips up and down the air. As you're driving up, squeeze your butt muscles together. Obviously, you don't have to physically squeeze them, but just try and isolate. Now, the key for this, and if you have a weak lower back, chances are you might find this hard to activate your glutes. So try and get in the habit of just squeezing your glutes. Even now, just stand up for a minute, squeeze your glutes. See if you can isolate. Squeeze your left one, squeeze your right one. See if you can do it. See if you can get in sync with your body. The more you can do this, the easier it will make the hip extension movement for you, the more effective it will make it for you. Now, it's on the lower intensity version of things, the hip extension. Now, some people find that easy. A couple of variations we can do to make it a little bit harder. Once again, we can have a mini band around your thighs, just above your knees there. It's going to work you harder. You can also come up on your heels, so your toes are pointing up towards the sky. Same deal. Lift your hips up and down in the air. Now, I will say when you are lifting your hips, make sure on the way down that your butt doesn't touch the ground again. Keep the tension the whole way through for your movements. Now, depending on your flexibility, the higher you can lift your hips up in the air, the more you're going to feel that in your abs and the front of your thighs as well. So that's an extra bit of bonus action there. You can also do the same sort of motion, the same exercise with your feet on a foam roller. So have both feet on a roller. Once again, you can make it harder. Toes up. So you're on your heels on the foam roller, same deal, lifting your hips up and down. And if you really want to step it up another notch, you can do single leg hip extensions. Those ones, a lot more effective as well. Now, exercise number 4, glute bridge march. These glute bridge marches, they're a variation to take those hip extensions up to another level. Same sort of starting motion. You're laying on your back, your knees are bent, your feet are on the floor. What we're going to do, come up on your heels before you start. Now, what you'll find when you do that, you're going to activate your calf muscles, your hammies, and your glutes. Everything's going to switch on a lot deeper from that position as well, just like you would if you're doing the hip extension earlier. The difference with this one, once you're holding up, we're going to hold that hip extension position at the top, and then when we're at the top of the position, you're going to march up and down the spot, so your legs are driving up and down like that, going back and forward just like that. Now, once again, the higher you can hold your hips, the more effective it is. Now, you can also make that a lot more effective as well by putting, once again, a mini band around your thighs just above your knees, because when you're driving back, you're going to find that you've got to work against the resistance and the tension that that mini band provides. Last but not least, probably the most important exercise that you can do to strengthen your lower back, and the easiest one that you can do this anywhere. Now, it's a transverse abdominis activation. Now, you may have heard of the transverse abdominis if you have been treated with a physio or a medical practitioner before with your lower back injury. Basically, the transverse abdominis muscle, it's the muscle deep down in your core. Now, what you'll find with this one, you can't really see. It's not one of your six-pack muscles. It's towards the back, deep down behind those back extensor muscles, deep down the layer of that core. That's the muscle that we need to get stronger. Best way to do this, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to stand up, and if you can follow along with this too, find where your belly button is. What we're going to do, trace your fingers around your back, find your spine, go to the muscles either side of your spine. You can see my hands separating there. Now, what I want you to do is draw in your belly button like that. Okay, hopefully you can see that little bit of movement there underneath the t-shirt. You should feel some tension come onto your fingers automatically. Now, key for this, don't hold your breath. Now, try the first few times with the fingers, trace around, just so you can get the hang of that muscle switching on. If you can't feel that, put your hand underneath your clothes, feel around, have a feel, try and get into touch. Now, that just means that muscle's a little bit weak. We need to get used to switching that on. Hopefully, the more times you do that, the easier it becomes, and you can start to feel a little bit of pressure coming on. That's that muscle switching on. That's the muscle that we've got to get switched on for you throughout the day to help get your back stronger. So all these other ones, all these other exercises are great, and they're going to strengthen the outside muscles of the body, like the mirror muscles, so to speak. This is the one we really need to work on to get working, to strengthen deep down in the start. That's why I left it to last. Hopefully you're still sticking in there. So you got to this last little video, but last little tip. But the main thing I will say, if you can do this as often as you can. So the key for this, find something that you do every day. Like maybe it's every time you get a message on your phone. Maybe it's every time you check your emails, every time you send an email. If you drive a lot, every time you stop at a red light. If you're on a train, every time you stop at a train station, have a cue for it. So as soon as that cue happens, it's a reminder to you, draw in, activate, don't hold your breath. Ideally, if you can breathe out, draw in and hold. Just for 10 seconds, that's all you need. The more often you can do that, the more that will become a regular part of your life. Not only will the stronger your lower back get, but it's also going to be easier for you to get into the hang of that, because eventually you'll be walking around spending the most of the day like this. You're not holding your breath, but you're just switching on and you're getting that TVA, that transverse abdominis muscle stronger. See how these little tips go. Hopefully they've helped you. Let me know in the comments if you've got anything you want to add to this. I'm Daniel Munday, over and out.